this gorgeous sprayed edge, which completely took my attention. Hello, I'm back. So I've been on a lovely book shopping holiday with my friend Eloise to Hay-on-Wye. Hay-on-Wye is a small town in Wales that's famous for having huge numbers of bookshops with secondhand and new books, and for the Hay-on-Wye Book Festival, which also takes place there. And I want to tell you all about the fun bookshops that I got to visit and show you some photos, show you some videos, and show you everything that I bought, of course. There's a couple of things I'm going to keep hidden for now because they are gifts that I haven't given people, but I can show you most things. So I had been saving up my national book tokens from Christmas, birthday, Mother's Day, with this trip in mind so that I could spend all my lovely vouchers on books. I had asked people to give me the gift of book shopping, and I was a bit disappointed to find out that because so many of the bookshops, well, I was going to say so many of the bookshops sold secondhand books, so they didn't accept book tokens. But also, I chatted to the man at the poetry bookshop, and he said that because of the specific economy there, where there's so many bookshops in a small town, it doesn't make sense for a lot of them to accept national book tokens when they wouldn't necessarily sell many national book tokens. Thankfully, it worked out okay for me because the bookshop that I most wanted to spend money in and get huge stacks of books if I could have was Hay-on-Wye, and they take national book tokens. They also have a bookshop.org page, which I'll link to in the description. Let me show you what I got from there. So first of all, the merch. So obviously I had to get myself a little fridge magnet souvenir from Hay-on-Wye, and I chose this one, which has got a lovely picture of the Hay-on-Wye bookshop on it. And then I also got myself a Hay-on-Wye tote bag. Apparently pink is the most popular colour. Who knew? And then let me show you the books, what everyone's been waiting for. So from Hay-on-Wye I got Written in the Stars, which is about an astrologer, a free-spirited astrologer and an actuary that get together. And I'd been looking at this one previously. I thought it was a really cute cover. And I also, as a Swiftie, I'm a fan of the red scarf. That grabbed my attention. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it looks super cute. It's a romance. And I haven't read any T. Kingfisher, but I have read a little bit of Ursula Vernon, which is obviously the same person. But if you saw my HRCYED Rex video, you'll know that I had this book down as a possible for periodic table, colours in Joseph's Coat, retellings. It's got food on the cover, it has a lot of HRCYED 3 potential, and it also has these gorgeous red sprayed edges, which I didn't even notice until I got home because I had put it in my pink Hay-on-Wye bag and I thought it was just a reflection of the colour of the bag, so that was a nice surprise. Part of the reason why I didn't notice that gorgeous sprayed edge was because of this gorgeous sprayed edge, which completely took my attention. I think these are the only books I have at all with any kind of sprayed edge, but they're really pretty. I don't necessarily go for shelf trophies because I mostly borrow books from the library to read, but this is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I've read one T.J. Klune book before, which was... what's it called? I'll put it on the screen. I'm giving up. I'm very tired from the weekend. And I found that pretty devastating and a bit too violent for me. A bit gruesome in places, but I really loved the emotional story. And I'm told that this has a really strong emotional story, that it'll probably make me cry, but maybe has less unexpected brutal torture. So fingers crossed for that. And it's gorgeous. Totally different genre. I chose Automatic Noodle. This is about robots that run a noodle shop, and then the humans, I think it's humans, discover that the robots are running a noodle shop by themselves, and they're not happy about it. That's the premise of this book. It's only about 162 pages, if I remember rightly, so it is what I would call a novella. It has this amazing cover, and the guy in the shop said that he really enjoyed it when I put it on the counter, which is always a good endorsement. I just saw today on the HRCYED Discord that someone said if you like T. Kingfisher, then you probably should try Alex E. Harrow. I haven't read any other Alex E. Harrow books before, but I had picked this up at the weekend at Hay-on-Wye, so I was pleased to hear that. I have a friend that might do a buddy read of this with me as well. It's a bit of a chunky one. I think it's over 400 pages, nearly 500 pages maybe, was my guess. It has a bird on the cover, so if you're doing HRCYED and you're looking for different animals, it's good for that. Yeah, I love me a witchy book, so I'm really excited to read this one. Those are the 5 books that I got at Hay-on-Wye, and I spent, I think, about £60 worth of national book tokens. So a lot of the other books that I bought are second-hand. Some of them came from the Honesty bookshop outside of the castle, where you donate £2 a book. One of them came from Addyman's Back Passage, which is a book passage full of bookshelves, and all the books in there are £1 each. This was a really cool, some of the books were arranged in rainbow order as well. I have some cool fisheye footage of that alleyway that I'll show you. And then the last one came from the book centre on, I think it's called Broad Street Book Centre. So that's this one. This one was £3.95 secondhand from Broad Street Book Centre. And this is the only book where I hadn't heard of the title or the author. I just thought it looked interesting. I think the cover looked a little bit like The Ministry of Time, and I really enjoyed that book. And I saw that it was funded on Kickstarter, kind of indie-ish book publication route. And yeah, so I'm hoping this will be fun. Sometimes it's fun just to have a random pick. The other secondhand ones I got are a photo finish by Elsie Silver. This is from the Honesty bookshop outside Hay-on-Wye Castle. All the proceeds from that go to look after the Hay-on-Wye Castle upkeep. So this is a romance. I haven't read any Elsie Silver before, but I had seen the cover of Wild Love by Elsie Silver and thought that it looked cool, and I was also a bit drawn in by the desert and the mountains and the evergreen trees on the cover, thinking that's a good biome book. So yeah, hopefully a fun romance novel. It's also in very good condition considering it was on a random bookshelf outside. We did nearly burn to death in the searing apocalyptic heat while we were shopping for these books, especially because they were outdoors. Probably not the usual climate in Hay-on-Wye, given that it's in Wales. This is the other book that I got from the Honesty bookshop at the castle. This is the second in a series. Let's see, what's the first one called? I can't remember because I'm completely brain dead today, but obviously I will put it on the screen. By Laura Dave, so potential author for Last Name as a First Name, and just a second in a series that I've been trying to get from the library, and the queues for it at my library were quite long, so I was really excited to spot it on that shelf. My last secondhand purchase was this one. This was from Addyman's Back Passage, so the book passageway that I told you about. It was only £1, which I thought was a real bargain. I haven't read anything by this author, but I have seen this TV show on Netflix and I enjoyed it, and I didn't know it was based on a book. Again, a bit of a chunky one. Not as chunky as some of the fantasy reads that I've had, but quite big for a novel. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm interested to see if it has the same sort of humour as the Netflix series, because I really enjoyed that, but it was also very poignant. It's about a little boy and his father is a drug dealer, so it also deals with some heavy topics. The last book I'm going to talk about that I bought for myself is this one. This is the other book that I spent some national book tokens on, well, a national book token on. It's her debut novel called The Adults. I really enjoyed The Wedding People by Alison Espach, and that made me want to pick this up and read her debut. So I hope I enjoy that as much as I enjoyed The Wedding People, which I know not everyone enjoyed. I think some people didn't find the main character likable in that. And I found her likable enough to spend time with, I guess. I also really liked the bicycle on the cover. Finally, I just have a couple of books that I got for my children. So the first is The Lost Spells, which is a poetry book that I got from the Poetry Bookshop. The Poetry Bookshop sells a mixture of new and second-hand books, which is quite common for the shops in Hay-on-Wye. This is a beautifully illustrated poetry book that my daughter enjoyed the audiobook of. Animal on the cover. I just want to show you some of the gorgeous illustrations in this book. Stunning. If you're an animal lover, or if you know an animal lover, this is a beautiful gift. Also has a little ribbon bookmark. And I also had to get them Fetch 22, the Dogman book. I got this from the comic bookshop. I thought it was really cool that they have a comic bookshop and that I spotted lots of graphic novels there that I've read and enjoyed. A couple of the other bookshops that I really liked that I didn't buy anything in were Murder and Mayhem, which is all crime fiction. So there's a true crime section downstairs, there's ghost stories at the top landing, and then upstairs is sort of more classic detective novels and books like that. They also had a jigsaw out on the table. I stopped and I did some of the jigsaw and I really enjoyed that. It was a nice way of showcasing one of the products they sell, the jigsaw, but also just getting to be a part of something with other fans of crime fiction who had come along and done a little bit of a jigsaw each. I didn't end up buying anything there, but I did end up writing a lot of things down that I want to borrow from my library. And then I really liked Bookshop 451, which was all sci-fi and fantasy. I've got a picture of me outside that. That was the first bookshop we went in, and I think it suffered a little bit from that because I didn't want to peak too soon and spend all my money there before I'd had a chance to look around a lot of the other shops. So I might just pop up a bunch of the books that I was interested in that I saw in Murder and Mayhem. And then also this book that I was interested in that I saw in Bookshop 451. I have The Spell Shop to read by this author, Sarah Beth Durst. So I told myself, don't get another book by this author when you already have one that you own to read, which is The Spell Shop, which I think is a good rule. We also went for a nice walk by the river and we saw some cute sculptured animals out of wood. And we went in Richard Booth's bookshop, which was absolutely massive, and it was so hot in so many of the shops because we managed to go on one of the hottest weekends of the year so far. But it has a basement, it has a big basement, and they have a lot of the horror novels down there. They have graphic novels down there, they have science fiction, and it was really fun to go downstairs into the basement and look at all the creepy books. And oh, this is one of the books that I plan to borrow from my library that I saw there. And just cool off a bit as well. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed hearing all about Hay-on-Wye and seeing my new book haul. I'll see you next time. I am still planning on recording a spreadsheet tour, but I need to wait until my brain is working a bit better and I'm a bit less tired. Please like and subscribe. Bye! Is her debut.